Welcome back everyone, Mirai here, and in today's video we're going over the price of Bitcoin, but we're going to be looking at Bitcoin from a different perspective. So yesterday's video, I did not do any Bitcoin price predictions or anything about the price or charts of Bitcoin, but today I'm taking a whole new look at Bitcoin and we're going to be diving in it today. If you've been here for a while, you know I talk about the 50 DMA a lot, I talk about TD sequential, I talk about Bitcoin making higher highs, higher lows, patterns like that, and looking for trend reversals. So a couple days ago, here's the Bitcoin chart. A couple days ago, I drew this triangle, and I'm going to be very honest. I am not a triangle expert. And when I draw triangles on my charts, it's because they are overwhelmingly obvious, because my mind is just not really trained to see typical triangles on charts. So if I draw one, it's overwhelmingly obvious. Many times I draw triangles on my charts because I see someone else drawing it on theirs and then I recognize it and then I add it to my chart because I see it after that. But I can honestly say I drew this triangle out of my own free will and no one else has inspired me to draw this triangle on my chart. Like I said, I don't draw triangles very often. So I drew this triangle, and honestly, I don't know a ton about triangles, so I had to do a little bit of research. And I'm like, what sort of triangle is this like? And just to give you like more an idea when it comes to triangles is that you ultimately want it to hit as many bodies of the candles as possible. So for example, this right here, from here to here on this candle is the body of the candle. This down here is the wick of the candle, okay? Just like a regular candle, you know. So I drew the top of this one, as you could see here, and like you can fudge this a little bit, but like basically it's hitting this top point here, and then it almost hits the body here, hits a point there, and then it hits, you know, this candle from July 4th. So I drew that when there was like these two candles didn't exist. And then I was like trying to figure out how to draw this candle, and I was able to, you know, hit almost a body here, hit the body there, but this could also be slightly adjusted, right? So I could slightly adjust this candle to where it just passes through the body of this candle and the wicks touch here. So I draw this triangle and I'm looking at it and I'm like, honestly, I don't even know what type of triangle this actually is. But as I mentioned before, I refer a lot back to Tone Vays. He is like someone that I listen to consistently when it comes to trading. So at first I Googled like triangles in trading and I was like, well, this kind of looks like a symmetrical triangle. But the only reason why I didn't think it was a symmetrical triangle was because on Google it was showing a lot of the breakout patterns were bullish. And I'm like, Bitcoin is just not looking bullish right now. So then I was, came over here to Tone Vays' website and I wanted to take a look at his reference when it comes to chart patterns, all right? So, I was looking at this just a few moments ago and I was like, well, the triangle that I drew kind of resembles this pennant, okay? So, kind of, sort of. But the problem here is that you could see there's an increase in price before the pennant starts forming, okay? So an increase in price, the pennant forms, and there's also a breakout. But as you could see here on the daily chart, I mean, technically, I guess you could say this is an increase in price, right? You could say that, approximately, I'm just, giving an estimate here, approximately 7 days before, from here all the way up to the top of the candle is a 31% increase. So honestly, when I looked at this a few minutes ago, I was just looking at all this chop. But the truth of the matter is that when you cut off the chop and you look at like June 8th to June 8th to June 14th, that's an upward trend in Bitcoin. So technically, it kind of looks like a pennant, but it also kind of looks like a symmetrical triangle. And same thing, right? An increase, and then it starts trading within that range of the triangle. So here is the good news. You could sort of kind of say it's a pennant. I would say it looks more like a symmetrical triangle in my opinion. The only thing that wouldn't really qualify this as a symmetrical triangle is the simple fact that we don't really have enough bodies that are touching these two sides of the triangle, right? So in this example, you could see it's like 1, 2 on the top and 1, 2, I would say about 3 on the bottom. when you look at mine here, there's really only one body touching here, and there's about 2 on the bottom. So I guess, can we move this down lower to touch more bodies? If we did, then the wicks are sort of out of the range, and it's starting to feel like we're fudging it a little bit too much. Okay, so the good news is that it kind of looks like a pennant, kind of looks like a symmetrical triangle. Let me just say it one more time. I am not a triangle specialist, okay? I'm just learning as we go, and maybe you guys will see something that I'm not seeing and you can share it with me. So you can see here that the symmetrical triangle is indecisive, okay? It's an indecisive triangle, which is pretty valid in my opinion, right? I mean, I think that this 50 DMA is totally gonna knock the shit down out of Bitcoin, okay? And then we're gonna see Bitcoin go down to the low $20,000. But at the same time, that's what everyone's kind of expecting, right? And Bitcoin typically does the opposite of what everyone's expecting. So to me, I think this looks more symmetrical than it does a pennant. And if that's the case, it's an indecisive formation. So what is this telling you? This is telling you that if Bitcoin breaks under this triangle, it is a time to go short on Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin breaks above and out of this triangle, it is time to go long on Bitcoin. So I drew this triangle and I was looking at it and I was like, am I just fudging numbers? Like, I'm not really sure. And then I looked at the 1 hour chart today. I pulled up the 1 hour chart and I saw this. And I know I've been moving like the triangle around a little bit. But as you could see here, it was a little bit higher and Bitcoin had touched I was looking at it right here at just under, it hit the high of 35,059, okay? But it was at like 34,900 and something. And I looked at it hitting the top of the triangle and I was like, whew, that looks like an excellent time to sell Bitcoin. That was my first initial response, but honestly, most of the time I never act on my initial findings on a chart, okay? I'm not gonna lie, even though I talk about charting all the time, I am super hesitant when it comes to making any moves on a Bitcoin. And that's just because I've been burned, quite a few times. So I'm very, very particular when it comes to buying and selling Bitcoin. I mean, I buy a lot more easier than I do sell. But like I said, I looked at this candle and I was like, wow, that looks like an excellent time to sell Bitcoin. And as you could see here, if I would have done that, Bitcoin fell, let's just say, I'm not gonna cherry pick the top of the candle. Let's just say it was 34,954. And so Bitcoin is down 2.5% since then. So what are we looking at here? If you look at the hourly chart, we still have some time to get to the end of the triangle. Technically, Bitcoin can break out at any time out of this triangle because we're getting so close to the end. But if we go all the way here to the end of the triangle, that puts us at July 10th. So I would say that I am anticipating Bitcoin to break out of this triangle sometime between now and June 10th. Okay, right now on this hourly chart, it's bearish as we see this red 2 trading below the red 1. So let's zoom back out. I kind of wanted just to show you what I noticed earlier. And honestly, I probably would have never talked about this triangle in this video. I probably would have deleted it. But after Bitcoin hit the top of the triangle and I noticed that and I was like, it's probably a good time to sell Bitcoin. And then it ended up, basically my prediction came true. Then I thought it was important to share this, okay? Let's go ahead and go back. We're back here on the daily chart. The high of this candle right here is 35,100. The high of this candle right here is 35,059. So if we see Bitcoin go above the high of this previous candle from yesterday, I would say that is a bullish sign. That's what we're rooting for, okay? But like I said, it is possible that we break below this triangle, so keep that in mind, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at the 12-hour chart here. 12-hour chart, obviously still ranging in this area. The good news here, as this 12-hour chart loads, I need to get a Wi-Fi extender for this room. So the high of this candle is 35,020 and the high of this candle, 35,059. So that is good. Okay, this is a bullish sign for Bitcoin. Let's go really quickly back to the daily chart and check up on the 50 DMA. Basically, right now the 50 DMA is sitting at about 35,900 948. So critical point for Bitcoin. The DMA is continuing to decline rapidly. Let's see if we can get that 12-hour chart to load. Perfect. There we go. Okay, so this is actually really good right here. On the 12-hour chart, the 12-hour chart is bringing Bitcoin back to life. If we can see Bitcoin go above the high of this previous high of 35,960, I would be jumping for joy. But as you can see here, the high of this candle is getting really close to that 50 DMA. So these are very critical points for Bitcoin. There is going to be, in my opinion, quite a bit of volatility coming up in the near future. The 4-hour chart is trending downwards, but if we can see Bitcoin hold the low of this candle right here, which is 34,086, we are in good shape. We want Bitcoin to basically hold that level, bounce off the bottom of this triangle, and then hopefully break out above it. So 1-hour chart here is bearish, as we just mentioned. The red 2 trading below the red 1. Okay, 30-minute chart here on Bitcoin is also bearish. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 5-minute chart on Bitcoin. 5-minute chart here is also trending downwards. We just want to see it stay within this range of the triangle, and we live to see another day. But it's always important to prepare for the worst case scenario of Bitcoin taking a dip all the way down to the $20,000 range. I'm not being overwhelmingly bearish. I'm just being overwhelmingly realistic. So if you want to support my channel, I have links down below for Celsius, Gemini, Coinbase, and other ways to get started in cryptocurrency. That is all I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.